What's up, everybody? It's Sid and Millie back with another episode. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us today. It is a long-awaited beginning of the Manchester United preseason. So we
Facts.
just finished watching the first game of Manchester United versus Wrexham.
Facts.
They did lose, but it's preseason, so
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
just
yeah.
learning a lot about who's
Yeah,
on
we're
the
just we're
team.
just seeing what's going on. Yeah, it's preseason, kind of kicking off the 2026-2027 season. So, everything is just getting rolling. A
Hmm.
ton of players are still out from the World Cup or on their vacations, as we know. But yeah, the world goes on. And so Manchester United have been back in Carrington for about 9 days now, I think it
Okay.
was. And now today they had their first preseason match over in Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah, against Wrexham. So
Yes.
yeah, pretty interesting watch, pretty good game, honestly. But yeah, it's preseason, so everything pressure is super light, not super concerned about anything. But really just excited to get to watch Manchester United again. I think
Yes.
I think that was the key thing. We've
We've
just
been missing it.
Oh
We've been missing
man,
it.
it's been like 50 something days since
And if
Manchester
you've been
United.
here for a while, I'm sure you've been missing it too.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's been literally like 50 something days since Manchester United last played a match of
Yeesh.
football, which is far too long,
That's so
in
many
our
days.
opinion.
That's
Yeah,
like
I know.
multiple months.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
well, it's because we were in no competition of that last season, but whatever. That won't be the case this season. So yeah, a little bit different. So yeah, just very excited to get the season kicked off, see what Carrick and the lads have been up to. So yeah, let's get
Let's
into the
get right
game.
into it. Yeah.
So yeah,
So,
as you mentioned, United did lose the game 1-0. A first half goal that came off of a throw in. It was a little bit sloppy. I think everybody switched off for a second. And the ball got played straight across. Maguire got a little bit unlucky when he tried to block the cross because it went through his legs.
yeah,
And Bro had a tap in at the far post. So that was one of Wrexham's pretty few chances that they did create, but that was the
executed
only. Yeah,
perfectly.
exactly. And that was the only goal that was scored in the match, which again just highlights how important it is to stay turned on in these games. You
Hmm.
really can't have mental lapses or think that a team can't hurt you even on a throw in, because you can get scored on at any
At
time.
any
So
time.
yeah, just needed a little bit more of that like awareness. But again, because it's preseason, that intensity wasn't quite there. And
Hmm.
it's the first match back. So again, we got to have our expectations.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's kind of getting their bearings. It was a lot
Yeah,
of new players on the field,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
maybe haven't played together in
Yeah,
at
facts.
least not all together in this forum. So,
100%.
it was a lot of learning
Yeah,
situations, I feel
definitely.
like.
And as like we know with preseason, it's mainly about fitness. It's mainly about getting up to speed. It's mainly about getting that match fitness. So those are really the key elements that are important during preseason. We're not trying to have anybody run into the ground and burn their legs out before the season even starts. So there's also an element of like management that comes into that. We saw Carrick make 11 subs at halftime and bring on basically the
Change a
youth
whole
team.
team.
Yeah. So that was really great to see. We'll talk
Hmm.
about the second half in a little bit about, who we saw and who this outstanding performances were from the youth players, because there were a lot.
Yeah.
And then additionally, I think with that, the guys who are more involved in the normal starting 11, like Brian, like Maguire, those guys, Heaven, Yoro, they got a lot of good fitness that is going to really help their legs for the season. Because again,
Yeah.
a long season with a ton of games this year. So it's important that as many of these players can be fit and stay healthy for as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, outside of I guess the main core
Mm,
players who typically start or play on the team,
yeah, yeah.
who are some of your standouts, I guess, in the first half, considering it changed
Yeah, yeah,
between both
exactly. Because
halves?
it was, yeah, two completely different Man United teams. But first half for me, I think Heaven was. I'll start from the back. Heaton obviously brings a lot of experience, goalkeeper. He's
Okay.
kind of
Hmm.
he's kind of like the paint at Man United. It's like you see that brick over there. Ah, there's Tom Heaton. He's here. So it was cool to actually see him in action, because usually he's obviously like our third choice goalkeeper.
Right.
But yeah, he was solid. There was a little incident early on in the game in which he was kind of like fouled and the ball was kind of knocked out of his
Oh,
hands. But I think we all know in a normal game it would have been called as a foul, so it doesn't even count as a dangerous like
okay,
situation, you
got
know.
it.
So yeah,
Understood.
solid performance from him from the back. Aiden Heaven was fantastic. I mean, won all of his duels, was great in the air, great composure. I mean, he just hasn't really missed a beat. He is going to be a huge center back for us this season,
Love.
in my opinion, because the kid is talented. He is so talented. He and Harry Maguire are just a very good partnership.
Okay.
There's just something about it because, when the game started, I was a bit surprised to see Yoro out on the right and not in the center. But then as I was watching the first half, I was like, Maguire and Aiden are really in flow with each other. They're
Ooh.
so good in the air. They're composed with each other. They get out of each other's way when it's time to challenge. They
Mm,
drop off and create an option for the other one deep to make sure they still have a passing, option when they're in possession.
okay.
But yeah, they just do all the right things together. So that's a fantastic center back partnership. So, thinking about early season, that could potentially be something we see. So I thought that they were very good, both of them, Aiden Heaven and Harry
With
Maguire.
Maguire. Cool.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I mean, again, Maguire was snubbed by Thomas Tuchel for whatever reason and didn't get the World Cup call up. I think, again, Thomas Tuchel must have a little bit of a vendetta against Manchester
I
United
mean,
players.
yeah,
Yeah, I
safe
think.
to
I
say.
think we might have heard
Safe
him
to
a
say.
couple too many times when he was the Chelsea manager. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. We know that Maguire is a fantastic defender. And ironically, Maguire in the air today, fantastic, winning every single header. If only
Wow.
England had a defender like that could have kept them in the match against Argentina. But I digress. So anyway, yeah, Maguire does what Maguire does, and yeah, had the captain's armband, of course, because Bruno is out
Yeah,
on his
on his
vacation. So
vacay.
yeah, just cool little cool homage for Maguire. But I think he was solid. It
Yeah.
wasn't anything too crazy. Manchester United had a majority of the possession, so it was really just passing, moving. But again, when he did have to defend, his tackling was good, well timed, headers good,
Mm,
strong in the exactly what you get from
what you'd
Maguire.
expect from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as Euro on the right, I think him at right back, I don't know, maybe it will grow on me. I think in certain instances in games against teams that might outpossess us or might be putting a lot of pressure on us, I think that would be a brilliant decision. Primarily just because he offers us so much height, so much composure, and he's such a good one-on-one defender. I mean,
Okay.
nobody's dribbling past Lenny Euro. Let's be for real. So he offers so much of that. The only thing I'm not really sure about, like the attacking side of his game. So like crossing, beating people one on one, like when he's playing
Got
right
it.
back, I don't know how much he'll add to our attack
He's
coming from the
more of
right
like
back.
a defensive
That's
expert,
that's my
basically.
understanding of
Okay.
Lenny Euro. But again, maybe he's shown something to Carrick in preseason that we just haven't gotten a taste
Yeah,
of yet.
that's true.
And so in a different game, maybe we'll see a different dynamic of Lenny Euro at right back. So I have a eyebrow raised at that one. I'm like curious. I definitely understand the defensive element because Lenny's brilliant defensively, brilliant in the
Mm-hmm.
air. And good with the ball at his feet. So I definitely understand he has all the foundation of a good outside back. But yeah, I just wonder what his attacking prowess will be like, with the
Okay.
ball at his feet. Because as I usually mention, I like having an outside back, similar to Dallo, where they can join into the attack and take shots and
Mm-hmm.
take crosses and make sure we're joining into being another attacking player
Yeah, of
essentially. So
course.
it will be interesting to see how Lenny adjusts to that different responsibility.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
honestly, far cross, far post, he'd be brilliant to be heading if he's the late runner coming from the far side of the pitch. So
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
okay.
there's potential there. So I'm
Could see some
curious to
things
see how
from
that
him.
develops. I would say in the first half, United didn't necessarily create a ton of chances, despite our possession. So
Yeah.
again, it was a more possession based half. So we didn't really get to see Lenny like stretch that offensive muscle. But I
Mm-mm.
think that's okay. I think defensively he was solid per normal.
Yeah.
So good to see, and again, good minutes for him. And he would have done more running at right back back than he would do at center back anyway.
Okay,
So
got it.
extra fitness day for him.
Yeah, for real. I know because you always say like you get the best fitness or like training or whatever when you're actually playing games.
100%. Yeah, there's no amount of running that can prepare you for a football match. You got to play the sport. Yeah, 100%. Standouts for me in the midfield, I think Mason Mount was fantastic.
Okay.
He was really pulling the strings in the midfield, winning the ball back really brilliantly. Also, Santos, I think his performance kind of went under the radar a little bit, but again, he was winning a lot of key tackles, breaking up plays, and playing the ball forward, which is such an important thing for the midfield. Yeah. Essentially, just because, we want midfielders who are going to start our attack, win the ball, play forward.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just want to be playing sideways, side to side possession football. We want to attack and score goals. And I think that Santos is already keyed in on that. He wants to play forward when he wins the ball. So yeah, he was great in possession. Didn't lose the ball much and won all of his tackles. So I think it was a solid 45 minutes for him.
Okay.
And I can't wait to see what else he brings, what else about him, and how he looks when he's around different players in the
Mm-hmm.
midfield. Because the midfield three today wasn't probably typically the way you would want to set up, just
Okay.
because they didn't have like set roles. Maybe they were a little bit fluid in the like dynamic of the midfield, I would say.
Got it.
But
Okay, so I had a question.
yeah.
So now that you've seen him, Santos
Hmm.
playing just like a little bit, seen a little bit of what he has to offer,
Yeah.
do you have any ideas in your head of like who he
Mm.
would mesh well with in the midfield?
Ah, man. I mean,
I know it
I
was a
think
short
so.
debut,
No,
but
yeah, but I kind of commented about Man United's lack of
mm-hmm.
creativity. And so I think our creativity in the attack comes from Bruno,
Mm-hmm.
comes from Mainu, will come from Tielemans. So I think any of those partnerships could work well with Santos. I
Okay.
also didn't dislike him and Mason Mount together. I
Okay.
feel like they did work well off of each other and chose their moments to be the deeper of the two midfielders, and let the other one push on a little bit. So I feel like they were in a good flow. But again, I think we do need a very traditional six who's going to sit in front of our back
Mm-hmm.
four, protect our line. Sometimes with a fluid midfield, fluidity can get cut out a little bit in quick transitional moments if both players have gone too high or something like that. So I
Okay.
really like the idea of having a stern six that is glued to that position. So yeah, maybe that could be Santos, and maybe he could support, a Tielemans, a Bruno, a Mainu, maybe he
Mm-hmm.
could be that sixth, player.
Okay.
But yeah,
Really
we'll just have to
cool.
see how
Yeah,
that
see.
develops.
Defo, yeah.
Um,
But
so
that's
yeah, but
cool,
I
yeah.
felt like Mason Mount was really the one who was getting into those spaces, receiving the ball under pressure,
Mm,
turning out of like Mason Mount was really like dynamic today.
okay.
So I was really happy to see that from Mason. I know he's been working hard in the off season. And yeah, I think he's coming to prove himself this year. I still don't know about the jersey number. I still think, you could probably do with a slightly different
What's
jersey
his
number
jersey
and
number?
clear up the number 7 for Rash's
Oh.
homecoming. But nonetheless, yeah, Mason Mount looked fantastic. So good to see him in the midfield. But I think, yeah, our midfield was just missing our
Mm,
Bruno.
yeah, of course. Of
We knew
course.
that. We knew
I
that.
think I have
Um,
Bruno's jersey on right
yeah,
now,
you
so.
do. Yeah, you do. And I think, Jack Fletcher, young player, it's great to see that he even got to start with the main group,
Mm,
get some good minutes in, show that he is, potentially going to be that breakthrough player this year, in the season from the youth academy.
cool.
So that was good to see of him. I think, it's rough, right? Rough getting into the speed of a preseason match. There's a lot of different elements going on
Mm,
with Wrexham, with our squad. So I don't necessarily. Again, I think Fletcher was good. He was decent. Like, it was a
he did the job.
yeah, it's a preseason match. Like you said, there was a lot of different people on the field, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different people playing together. And so, yeah, I think everybody had to kind of get up to speed with the game. And I didn't think that Fletcher looked out of place at all. Like,
Okay,
you
that's
wouldn't
good.
have
Yeah.
looked at him and been like, oh, that's a youth player right there. He's a little, you wouldn't
Mm,
have seen that.
like making little silly mistakes and
No,
things like
nah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
he fit right in. So
that's
he's
awesome.
solid. So again, another player who could be seeing minutes for us, whether it's FA Cup, whether it's League Cup, whether it's
Mm,
we don't know. But I think he could be a good midfield option for us, later in the season when the games are wearing on people's legs.
Yeah, because we'll be in a lot of competition
Yeah,
there.
facts, exactly. And then going up top, so we had Xerxes playing in like the kind of false nine role, with Brian Mbembo and Dorgu on the left. So yeah, I don't know. We didn't really create a ton of opportunities, and that isn't solely to the fault of our attacking players. Obviously, they are a bit reliant of being brought
Yes,
into the game
definitely.
by our midfield, by our defenders. But I felt like a lot of our possession was very safe sometimes, and I think there were moments where I wanted Brian to shoot, and sometimes I feel like we're maybe over complicating the attack a little bit, maybe
Okay.
just a little bit. Sometimes it can just be a shot from distance. Sometimes
Yeah.
you can just run at your man and beat them.
Yeah.
So
Well, I know you were a little bit not annoyed, but like you were unhappy, I guess,
yeah,
with Mbeumo and some of his opportunities to shoot
yeah,
and
yeah.
like
I just want him. I just
being more
because
selfish.
in games last season we saw him when he unleashes that killer instinct. He can shoot from distance. His finishing ability is unreal. So sometimes I'm just like, don't go for the assist. Shoot, Brian. Shoot. Because he will score. Like, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, Mbembo is a 20 goal player, 100%. I have no doubt he'll hit that bar this season. But I just want him to be a little bit more selfish in some of those moments and kind of tap into that player that was hungry for this Man United move. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because at Brentford, when he was the key guy, I feel like it was a little bit, everyone expected him to shoot and score and do those things because he was the key guy. And now he's in a team with other players. So maybe he's like, oh, I could pass this and potentially assist my other great
Yeah.
teammate. But I think from Brian's perspective, 20 goals, no less this season. I think that should be the target. And I think he can hit that easily.
Yeah.
So again, it's just, how can you create those opportunities for yourself if the team doesn't create them for you? So I think,
Okay.
there were a couple of instances where he's got the speed, he's got the ability, and he's got the power. Just run past that defender.
Why
Run
not?
past them and shoot it. Because my thing is, especially in preseason, I ain't mad at you.
Yeah,
Especially
literally.
if you shoot, man, go have at it.
Now's the
Like,
time.
yeah, just let loose, Brian. Like,
Yeah.
that would be my advice to him. I think he's a fantastic player, so athletic, so good on the ball, and such a dangerous attacking player. Every team has to watch out for him. And yeah, I just want him to unlock that, like, that
Killer
killer
instinct.
instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, take that shot, be selfish, because you could be our top goal scorer this season. It does not have to be Bruno.
Yeah.
That's what I
true.
want everybody on the squad to know. Like, it doesn't have to be Bruno. It could be Brian with the most goals and assists, right? Like, so yeah, I just want him to shoot more.
Yeah.
That's literally my only note.
Just do it.
Shoot.
Why not?
Yeah.
Make
Yeah, exactly. Shoot, Brian. You got that. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, crazy going against our spots. No, I'm just kidding. And then yeah, Xerxes in the false nine had one shot a little bit off target on his weaker left, but yeah, kind of the same with Xerxes. Good fitness for him. I would just love to see him more involved in the game. And again, I think that comes from how we are trying to play. If we're putting in those crosses, if we're looking for those slip passes for our number 9, playing into his feet, that is when he's going to be most involved in the match and going to get to kind of influence the game a little bit more. So because we weren't necessarily playing into our forwards or doing any, not that we didn't have crosses or that we didn't play into Xerxes, but we weren't doing it necessarily in dangerous parts of the field,
Got you.
because we weren't necessarily creating those like dangerous chances
Yeah.
for Xerxes.
Okay.
So a lot of times we were seeing him like drop back deeper into the midfield to get some touches on the ball and then distribute wide. So yeah, I just love to see, him getting in those more dangerous positions, getting on the end of some crosses, which of course there has to be service for him to get on the end of it.
Of course.
So a little bit of that, a little bit of like, again, just that dynamicness in the attack. Who's going to take the responsibility? I want to shoot. I want to, that's just what we're missing right now. We're missing a little bit of someone who is like, I'm going to score this, no matter what.
Yeah, true.
And again, I know that Xerxes has that desire, but I just feel like, yeah, we didn't create a ton today.
Yeah.
So yeah, not necessarily a criticism against him.
Right.
Just saying I would want our 9 to be more involved in our play and have the team focus more on creating opportunities for our 9 so that they can be more involved in the game.
I think that's super fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great breakdown of the first half,
Yeah.
genuinely
Oh,
being.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, yeah. And kind of same with Dorgu. It was kind of like a quieter
Oh,
half for
yeah.
Dorgu.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, kind of the same. Like, we need our midfielders to continue to get these attacking players in positions where they can run at people, take people on, take shots, and get those sorts of things. But again, it's preseason, it's early. We know that there's going to be growing pains. We don't want United firing on all cylinders right now. It's way too early.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them passing around the pitch looking prime right now. We need to save that energy. Right. There has to be areas for growth.
Mm-hmm.
And also, a lot of the players that are playing now are going to be immensely important key squad players and starters and whatever role players for next season.
Yeah.
So again, it's all about getting their fitness up, getting their confidence up, making sure they can play with different combinations of players in order to really unlock our true potential next season.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, going into the second half, we had
That was
a
the whole
whole
first.
yeah, that was the whole first half. We had a whole new lineup. New
Yeah.
lineup came onto the field.
Facts, yeah.
A lot of
11
youth.
changes.
Yeah, literally 11 changes. Changed the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
Everybody got
we got
subbed
to see
off.
Vitek. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, talk to me about the second half, Millie.
Yeah, the second half was different.
Yeah.
Honestly, the youth players showed up. They showed up and they showed out, I gotta say. Not only that, they tied their half 0-0. So you gotta give them credit for that. They held Wrexham. I know Wrexham made some changes, whatever, but the youth players showed up and held Wrexham as well for a match. And not just that, they were the better team in the half. They had opportunities to score, created more chances than we did in the first half, and were taking those risks. You know, I love the energy that Shea Lacey brings to the field. He is willing to risk it. He wants to take the shot, wants to take on his defender, wants to be that dangerous winger, and you got to give him credit for that because we don't see enough of that nowadays. Too many people are just comfortable maintaining possession, whatever. Not Shea Lacey. He wants to attack. So he got, a couple shots on target or one shot on target. It was a kind of a subdued shot, but nonetheless, he was willing to shoot. He cut in and took the shot. And I love that. I love that energy from him.
Truly.
Wheatley showed up. He started. Haven't seen him in a while, honestly.
Yeah.
But thought he was decent. Had a couple chances. He's strong. He's a strong youth player. I mean, he was backing into the center backs and not phased.
He was so tall.
Yeah.
I saw him high five someone at the end, and I was like,
I know. Are we sure that's a teenager? What is that kid eating? Yo, for real. So yeah, I think it was good to see him involved as well. Who else? Harry Amos was out there. He had a good half. Just such a sturdy left back.
Yeah.
I really think he could be a future option for us. I know Manchester United's in the market for outside backs right now. But again, looking at our youth players, Harry Amos is a great player. He had a good loan spell last season, and I think he played well today. I think, he's athletic, strong in the tackle, and loves to get forward. And that's what you want to see from an outside back. So I thought he was solid. In the midfield, we had T. Fletcher and Collier as well. So good to see them combining. Collier is...
I was going to say, you said he's so fast.
So fast. Did anybody else know that? Collier is wheels.
Wow, yeah.
I forget what happened. There was like a ball broke out or something, and he took off. The guy ended up fouling him because Collier was gone. But yeah, his first 10 steps, I was like, whoa,
who is this guy?
Yeah, I don't know. That might be a winger. No, I'm just kidding. No, he was solid. I mean, his athleticism is crazy. Again, another player who was away on loan last season, who I'm sure is going to be wanting to try and break into the first team this year. So yeah, it was great to see him. I thought Fletcher was great in the midfield. He is that true out and out 6, and you can kind of see when you have a 6 sitting who is really getting open for the ball and kind of dictating the run of play, you kind of see how it frees up the other 2 midfielders to then take up creative roles. And I think that Fletcher in the second half made the difference of why the youth team was so good at locking Wrexham in. I mean, they maintained Wrexham in Wrexham's half for majority of the second half of the game.
Yeah, that's
Like Wrexham
true.
had a couple chances. Videk made one great save off of a quick fast break,
Mm.
but the youth team, they locked them in there, and I was massively impressed by that. And I
Wow,
feel like a
okay.
lot of that came from the positioning that certain players were taking on the field, and because Fletcher was sitting with the back four and sitting as the six, I think it allowed the other two midfielders to take up higher positions on the field, and
Mm,
thus it forced Wrexham kind of into a more defensive shape.
got
So I
it.
actually think, again, having that out and out six rather than a rotating fluid midfield actually allowed us to be like, all right, more dynamic with that. And so
Okay.
yeah, I think they were fantastic.
Okay,
Second half was
very
great. It
cool.
was a little bit more entertaining, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with that as well. I was just gonna ask, what's the
Mhm.
six?
That's just like the defensive midfielder, just
Okay,
like
got it.
Casemiro's
Defensive
role. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
midfielder.
So
Okay.
obviously we know players choose whichever number they desire, their
Mm-hmm.
favorite number. It doesn't always correspond with the position on the field,
Okay.
but typically if you were looking at a football chart or whatever, all the positions are like numbered with like main positions.
Right.
So like the
Okay.
number 9 is like the highest forward,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 6 is
Okay.
like a defender. Typically outside backs are like 3, 4, 5, 6 type, or 3, 4, 5 type
Okay.
numbers. Defenders usually, center backs are like 4 or 5,
Okay.
so yeah, I mean anybody can be any number, but
Yeah,
yeah, when
no,
I'm
valid.
referencing position, yeah, the 6 is like the defensive midfielder.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. But yeah, I think the youth players were fantastic. Were there any other notes we had from that half?
I honestly think you did a great job covering everything that we noted down. I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
you talked about everything.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
the youth team, they were fantastic. I mean I don't mean to reference them as a youth team. It's just because there were so many players from the youth academy that were brought into
Yeah,
that
the
11.
second half team,
Yeah, yeah.
mostly youth players.
Yeah, but I think they were fantastic. They should be really proud of their performance. Should have gotten that penalty at the end too. I peeped that
I
referee.
know the
The
referee was like,
referee,
I'm done with this
I
game.
know,
It's
bro.
over.
Come
I'm
on,
not
it's a
doing that
clear
right now.
pen. Just give them the pen.
I'm
They
like,
would
are
have,
you not getting
yeah,
paid
we would
over?
have tied up the game. We would have, the youth kids would have won the second half.
I
Like, we
know.
could have walked out of there with something. It
They
was
could
a
have
clear penalty.
clearly.
And that's why, once again, you got to give the youth players credit because they kept going. No
Mm-hmm.
matter how late it got in the game, they kept attacking. They wanted the goal. They wanted to tie the game up. They were acting as if they got scored on. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate that energy and that hunger for them to not only be trying to prove themselves, but really to be chasing the result of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because to your point, they were
Mm,
acting like they got scored on,
yeah.
but they're just there. They're thinking about the badge,
Oh
They
yeah.
got scored on, and they
Facts.
were they were going in with a vengeance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
facts. Yeah, I just love that. Yeah, they were great. So it was really exciting to see. And again, I love the fact that Carrick did the halves. Completely
Mm-hmm.
11 changes. It lets
Why
us get
not?
yeah, it lets us get a full experience, a full viewpoint of what's going on, how the preseason is looking, which players are in the mix, and who's performing well, and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So I think it was brilliant that Carrick did that.
Yeah, I
So
really appreciate that as well
yeah,
because yeah, you're getting to see a lot of different combinations of players, different
facts.
dynamics, but you're also like not overworking people. It's
Exactly.
preseason. You
It's
don't want to be
preseason.
overworking the like main starting players that you
Exactly.
kind of know are going to be starting or at least,
Yeah, or in
playing in.
contention.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So you don't really want to exhaust people right off the bat.
definitely
I feel like
not.
he did a really good job starting the players who,
Yeah,
typically would start games. Obviously, like you said, a lot of people are still out for the World Cup. I mean, we don't
yep,
have Manu or Rashford. They're
right.
still
Yeah,
playing for England. We're going to be
yeah,
watching that game later today.
yeah.
But yeah, so I think that was really cool to see just changing it up because again, why not? It's
Preseason. Yeah,
preseason.
yeah.
Just
This is the time for
see how
that
people are
again.
looking.
Exactly. It's all about fitness, confidence, and exposure for players, because any
Absolutely.
of those youth players that don't necessarily make it to the contention group for starting positions, this is how they will, acquire their loans for the season and stuff.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of different elements to it that factor into this. So yeah, it was great. It was just fantastic to see Manchester United play football again. I know we have been missing it, missing it for too long. And the games are on MUTV.
Yeah.
So if you are a Manchester United fan, you can, subscribe to MUTV to watch all the games. They have tons of coverage out there, and there will be all the preseason games will be held on the platform. So
Cool.
that's where we'll be watching. And yeah, that was our thoughts. Man United is back, baby. We're back.
It's happening.
But yeah, those are our thoughts on Man United versus Wrexham, our first preseason game of the season. Really, just more excited than anything to have Man United back in action. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll see you next time they play. But if you made
facts.
it this far in this
Thanks
video,
for watching.
we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.